feminism of the 99%.
I mean, at one level, it's a kind of a reaction to the drift of feminism, especially in the US, but not only, into what I think of as some kind of a dangerous liaison with neoliberalism, and that the mainstream feminism in this country has become really a corporate feminism, a lean-in feminism, crack the glass ceiling feminism. It's given up any broad, robust conception of what gender equality means or what social equality in general means. And instead of equality, it really seems to be focused on what I would call meritocracy. And that is just removing barriers that prevent the talented 10th or whatever to rise to the top in the corporate hierarchy, in the military, and so on. The kind of feminism that I've always supported, and I have to say I'm a child of the 1960s in this respect, is a feminism that is about abolishing corporate hierarchy, not about helping a small smattering of women rise up in it. But feminism has taken this neoliberal turn, this drift, for a good 20 or so years. This is not, for me, a question simply of something terrible has just happened with the election of Trump, although that certainly is very bad. But I think there's a much larger, underneath the tip of the iceberg, a much longer a bigger set of circumstances having to do with structural aspects of our society that have been ignored in all but, let's say, relatively marginal left-wing feminist currents with which I personally identify, but we have not, until now, I think, had much of a platform where our voices could be heard. Maybe we have Donald Trump to thank for the fact that it's a moment where more radical voices can be heard. And it just seemed like after the huge mobilizations and the great upsurge of anger and desire for activism and resistance and so on, and manifest in the January 21st women's marches, it seemed like this might be an opportunity to offer a different direction to U.S. feminism. Like I would call it a course correction, as opposed to simple resistance. Mm-hmm. The January 21st marches were great. There was tremendous energy and fantastic numbers and so on, a lot of creativity. But I have to say that they were somewhat politically inchoate. I mean, there was not a sort of clear direction, and maybe that's why so many people felt they wanted to participate. But it's also possible to develop a form of women's activism that has a clearer profile, a clearer orientation, a platform, and that I think in this context can start attracting broader support, because there's so many people, young people, older people, who are becoming radicalized and politicized for the first time, who throughout the Barack Obama presidency were kind of in a low-level funk. I mean, no one really wanted to oppose the first black president and so on and so forth. And of course, he did some things that we could call progressive. But there's been a little bit of a damper on activism. And now I think the lid is off. Mm-hmm. And there are new opportunities. And so we wrote the strike call for March 8th as the specifically U.S. response to the broader international call, which has endorsed by more than 30 countries. Mm-hmm. And we thought, let's seize this moment and see if we can get a left-wing feminism, a radical feminism. That's what we mean. Feminism for the 99% is for all the women for which lean-in feminism has done virtually nothing. Yeah.